Hello and welcome to Game Patrol, episode 3. And if you guys are watching on video, you will have noticed that I am now in a different location. That is right, I am actually in a studio. I'm super excited because Butler actually, I go to Butler University. If you listen to the previous episodes or you know me personally, you know I'm in college land, and so I've been in break, but I am back in college now. It's my first week back, and I have been sorry, I lost my train of thought, but yeah, I was really happy because I was originally going to do this in a study room in my dorm building, but the problem with that is they're like glass doors where everybody can see through, and the doors don't lock, and so it's just really like uncomfortable to do that. And so I was kind of hoping I could find something, so I had some contacts I got a hold of. Thank you to Mr. Mark Harris for letting me use the media bays for my own personal use, and also Professor Scott Bridge. Shout out to him. He's just an amazing person just in general that I know very well. I'm sure Mark Harris is too. I just don't know him very well, but Professor Bridge is one of the best people I've ever met, and so he helped me get in contact with Mr. Harris and getting this. And so it's a little bit more cramped, which is why if you're watching on YouTube, there's not as wide of a shot, just simply because I don't have that access to as big of a space anymore. But I also do like the professionalism of it. There actually are some professional mics, but I don't want to use it because I said I had my own equipment, and I also don't want to be liable for that, just especially because I am using this for personal use and not for school. It'd be a little bit different, but I just, since I have my own equipment, I just don't want to use it, even though this is probably a little better. But I am looking into investing into a better mic. Also, if you're watching on video, it's probably going to be a little bit shaky like the camera. That's just because the table's a little bouncy that I have the camera on, and so I might be able to remedy that next week. But as of now, I was already super late because no one was here, so I had to get Professor Bridge to come unlock the door for me so I had access. So I'm over an hour late, so I'm going to be running over my time a little bit, but no one has this reserved after, so I'm hoping that's okay. But I'll also send an email clarifying that. But anyway, yeah, I didn't really have a lot of time to mess with it, so I'm going to think about solutions for the camera shake in the next week for next episode. But yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, I apologize, but the lighting quality should be a little bit better, so shouldn't have it back. I do have the brightness down a little bit much. I probably should have turned that up just a little bit, but anyway, yeah, we are going to get into this week's podcast because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. I think I'm a little upset because this is a good episode to go over. That's why I reserved 2 hours here, and also just because of setup. But now I'm a little upset because it's been over an hour already. Now I'm now just getting started. But so I'll try to say all that I want to say. But first off, the games coming this week. We actually have games. That's super exciting. I am very excited to talk all about that. And so first off, we got Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I mean, you know both the games because I have been talking about them in the past episodes. But it's finally coming. It is 2 days away. Well, no, it's tomorrow for you guys. For me, it's 2 days away because I'm recording this on Wednesday night. But yeah, the review embargo should be up today for you guys. I don't know exactly when, but I know the reviewers just got their copies very recently, so probably not going to see review scores for Kakarot in very soon. But a lot of reviewers are doing AMAs and stuff like that. I personally asked, I asked the IGN reviewer if playing Kakarot, if you would gain more from it. Well, not if you can. If you should watch the anime before you play the game, not need to, but should you? Because you can gain a lot from it, like having that context, but it's not necessary. And I could obviously play Kakarot not knowing anything about Dragon Ball and just have a fun time with it as a game itself. But you get a lot more satisfaction a lot of times if you play the game or you've seen the stuff that it's based off of, but it's the same thing of like watching a movie without reading the book. I watched the first season of The Witcher without reading The Last Wish, and I'm actually going back and reading The Last Wish now. I meant to read it beforehand, but I just wasn't in the right mind space to do that. Now I'm just like, I really want to, you know, read it and get that full context and everything. And so I might do that with Kakarot. I think a lot of it depends on how it's received, because I don't have a whole lot of money right now, but yeah, that's super exciting. I think it's going to be a really cool game. I'm very excited to hear all about it because it basically encapsulates all of Dragon Ball Z into one game, which is exciting to say the least. But yeah, it comes out tomorrow for you guys. But the other big game coming out is Tokyo Mirage Sessions. No, it's not hashtag. I recently saw a video where it's not. It's Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE Encore. Yeah, that's right. I got it right this time. I did a little bit more research going into it. That also comes out tomorrow for you guys, Friday the 17th. And so, yeah, the reviews have come out for it. People are saying it's great so far. And I mean, yeah, I saw that there was a Joker skin that they introduced, and you know, it's another Switch port, like it's a Wii U port over to the Switch, so that's exciting. From what I saw of it, looks pretty cool. Don't know if I'll check it out again, like, because I think it's a full $60 game. I don't think I can look that up, and that's another thing. The video is probably going to get super shaky now because I'm actually using the laptop, and I actually have the webcam hooked up to the, or not hooked up, but like setting on the laptop. So, but I believe it's a full, yeah, it's a full $60 game. And so this will probably be something that I check. Like as of now, I feel like I could check out Tokyo Mirage Sessions on, if it goes on sale, because it is getting like pretty great reviews so far. But again, it's a port, and it's also like I don't have a whole lot of money, and so I don't think I want to shell out $60. It's the same problem as with a lot of Switch releases, like Donkey Kong Country Returns Tropical Freeze, how that was a $60 game and people were like, why? And then like any Capcom game that gets released on Switch is more expensive than if you buy it elsewhere. Like they have made each Devil May Cry game, like 1 through 3, $20 a piece, and you can get 1 through 3 together for $20 on other platforms. And so it's like you're paying 3 times as much on this for the Switch, which doesn't run quite as well, but it is portable. And they did add a new mechanic to 3. Instead of having to choose your style at the beginning, you can now switch them on the go, which is pretty cool. As someone who loves the Devil May Cry franchise, I was like, well, now I got to get into it. And so I bought the first Devil May Cry on Switch. I hadn't invested yet, but I want to get into replaying that. I haven't taken the time to yet, but I want to replay the Devil May Cry games. I'm going to play 2 again, not because I really want to, but because I just don't like the feeling I get when I just skip something. I'm that completionist type of guy. I'm not someone who 100%s games, but I'm the type of person that needs to at least finish the story of these games. Like I need to complete it in that sense before I move on to the next one. So yeah, but anyway, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Dragon Ball, getting a whole lot of Japanese stuff this week. I mean, I guess not necessarily a whole lot, but you know, yeah, very exciting. So those are the games coming out this week. Now let's jump into the gaming news because there's been some big stuff going on. So again, I have picked the top 5 biggest news stories personally to me, but I mean, they are of the biggest of this week. And so starting off, delay season has begun. It is 2 weeks into the year and we've already got some delays. So Marvel's Avengers has been delayed to September 4th. I'm very upset about it. I'm so excited for Marvel's Avengers. I'm such a big Crystal Dynamics fan. I love the Tomb Raider games. I love superheroes. And so to hear that this got pushed back, how long does that mean? August, 4 months. I mean, it does open up the chance for it to be playable at E3, and if it isn't playable at E3, I'll be severely disappointed at this point, because it should be pretty well done, so they should have a really good demo at E3. So I guess that makes it a little bit better, but I could have just played the whole game before E3. But yeah, it's very, very sad. Was supposed to come out on May 15th. Now it's been delayed almost 4 months later. We'll see if it hits day and date on Stadia for that, because I would like to play it on Google Stadia. However, with Stadia's rocky reception, we'll see how that goes. I also saw something today that CD Projekt Red kind of implied that Cyberpunk wouldn't be coming day and date on Stadia as with other platforms, and that kind of sucks. But Doom Eternal's coming day and date. We know that now. Apologies for the big camera shake there. For you guys listening on Spotify, I've rambled on about so much stuff that you guys don't care about whatsoever, so I apologize for that. But for my video people, you know what I'm saying. But anyway, next up, we'll get off of the delays. We'll get to a more positive thing. A new Smash fighter is being revealed today. This podcast should be up before the direct, so you know, it's still technically canon for me to say that we don't know who it is, but it won't be super long. It's at 9 a.m. today for you guys, 9 a.m. tomorrow for me. I have a class at like 9:25, so I'll be able to watch like the bulk of it, like the meet and greet, because it's going to be like roughly 35 minutes of footage is what they said. So, you know, it's going to be Sakurai's usual thing where he just goes on and on about all the things, which I love. Like, I love how in-depth he goes on these fighters, because it shows how passionate he is about them. But, you know, the first 5 to 10 minutes is really all you need to know, except for his little, they say the occasional stuff at the end, like the whole reveal stuff, like, you know, me costume, stuff like that. But, yeah, I'm excited. I really hope that it's Dante, because again, 1, I'm obsessed with Devil May Cry, and 2, it just makes perfect sense. And we had that little comment from V's voice actor earlier this week about how if any character from Devil May Cry would get into Smash, it would be Dante. Like, that doesn't mean he knows anything, but it's like, man, he was just talking about Dante being in Smash, and then I think it was like the next day they announced that they were doing a new Smash character, and so I was like, and so because of that, I finally jumped back into Smash to play Terry, because I still have never played Terry because I didn't play the Neo Geo games, and so I had no idea who Terry was, so I wasn't all that pumped for Terry, and I was just super busy when he came out, so I just never got around to trying him out. So I finally tried him out for the first time right before this, and he's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Not really my playstyle, because he's a lot like Ryu and Ken, and those just, they don't really float my boat that much, but he is really cool. I found a pretty nasty combo, so it's pretty good, pretty good. I don't know why my eye's watering, but you know, it happens. Again, that's why I hope you guys listen on Spotify, because then you don't have to see me having this like breakdown right now. But back on to less fortunate things. The second big delay, I think there was even a third. I'm trying to remember what it was. I didn't put it in the news, but I feel like there was a third. But anyway, second big delay. Final Fantasy VII Remake has been delayed by a month. So it is now coming on April 10th. It was supposed to come out March 3rd. And so the main thing to remember with these delays is a delayed game is eventually good. A rushed game is always bad. I mean, people quote that every single time that a game gets delayed. They quote from, what was it, Miyazaki? Someone from Nintendo. I forget who. And I probably got some people angry at me for saying that. I apologize. But, you know, it's disappointing, but, like, I do wish that it wouldn't happen, but I know it's for the better, and so, you know, we just have to bide our time. But it does make April extremely packed, because if you guys are keeping track now, it's April 3rd is Resident Evil 3, April 10th is Final Fantasy VII, and April 16th is Cyberpunk, which means Gamers' April is going to suck, especially if you have a PlayStation. Well, it's not going to suck. It's going to be great, but it's going to be very busy, and we're not going to leave our houses very much, or dorm rooms in my case. My grades are going to plummet, but that's fine. And April's going to be like the worst month too, because it's right before finals, and so it's all the lead up, and you're doing like all of, because you know you've had all of the setup in the beginning of the semester, so now you're doing like the actual like the media assignments and all of that, and so it's, yeah, that's a terrible timing on their part. If they just want to delay that into the summer for me, that would be fantastic. Actually, no, because that'll probably happen. Probably not Final Fantasy, and definitely not Resident Evil, but Cyberpunk, we'll see. Cyberpunk might get delayed. I don't want to say, I'm not that I have any, I'm just saying that it's the only one that has the potential of getting delayed, because Capcom already clarified, and I doubt they would delay Final Fantasy again, especially since it was only a month. That sounds like they have a pretty set timetable in terms of like how much they know that they need, like how much time they need. It seems like they know what they're talking about. But otherwise, in news, we've got PlayStation announced they're not going to be at E3 this year, which really upset me. I was kind of hoping, because they hadn't said anything for a while, that they were going to come to E3 and show off the PlayStation 5. Am I really that surprised? No. But everybody's like, yeah, E3's dead anyway. Who cares? Who cares? But I had my first E3 last year, and I had the time of my life. Like, there were definitely some bad moments. Like, again, like I said, I waited 4 hours in lines, in like some lines for some games. Like, I waited up to 4 hours for some games, and that really sucked. But the overall experience was so fantastic, and that's why I want to go back again this year. That's why I'm so excited, especially with being able to play the Xbox Series X, most likely. Being able to try out all these new games. Hopefully now try out Avengers will be super, super cool. But it's just such a fantastic experience for anybody. And so I'm on E3's side here. I want PlayStation to be there. I want all this stuff because it's such a cool community that has been built over decades. And I am very, very annoyed by why my eye keeps watering. My God. Like, now is a time where it would make sense, because like, I don't mean this to get emotional. Like, I'm not getting emotional over this, but it makes sense. Like, it's not completely out of the ordinary for me to be, but I don't care about E3 that much. It's just, you know, I grew up with E3 is the biggest week in gaming. And now with the internet and people just doing, you know, streams and, you know, Nintendo Direct, State of Plays, inside Xbox, yeah, E3 significance has gone down because they can essentially announce stuff whenever they want, and then they, you know, it costs less for them to do that. And so, yeah, it makes sense. But it's just, it's what E3 signifies. And so I really hope that E3 is not dead. And I don't like the direction that ESA is going with it. Like, they are making it very much about the gamers and like sponsors and all of that. Like, there were so many booths on like third-party accessories and like other like gamer thing. Like, not like, they were probably, if the game booths were a majority, it was probably not by much, because there were just a bunch of other companies that were just there trying to sell their products to the gamers. And it wasn't so much about the media coverage and like the games, the big games there. And so I don't like that aspect of it, but I understand why it's happening, is because since you have people dropping out, ESA needs to make their money somewhere, and so they are letting in more gamers, and so they're letting in more people to draw in revenue from that. But it is kind of getting away from what E3 was truly about, you know, the spirit of E3, the spirit of Christmas. But yeah, I really hope E3 doesn't die, because it means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to a lot of people. And just having that 1 week where everybody, all of gaming comes together is so great. And, you know, PlayStation leaving that is kind of tearing people apart. That was like it. I know there's been a decrease in, you know, hype or because of what's going on, but PlayStation leaving last year really was a big blow. And I wish that they would understand that and do something like Microsoft, because Microsoft has made so many decisions in the past few years that they really don't benefit that much from, unless it's, you know, just gaining consumer trust. And therefore, you know, there are legitimate business reasons to do that, because it's the whole risk versus reward. You gain consumer trust, you'll get more people coming to you, and so you will gain profit over that. But Microsoft makes a lot of decisions that don't necessarily mean that they're going to profit a lot off of, and PlayStation just doesn't do that. And it's really upsetting, because you should be making the games for, like, personally, I think Microsoft has the better corporate company, like that, if that makes any sense. Like, they're better at the corporate level, but PlayStation is better at the development level. I think the developers that work at PlayStation are some of the best game developers known to man. Not just in terms of quality, but just in terms of person. Like, Cory Barlog is one of my favorite people on this earth, and he works for Sony Santa Monica, and just all the people at that development studio, and then people at Sucker Punch and Insomniac and all these other development studios that are under PlayStation's wing. They have some great talent over there. Not that Microsoft doesn't have that same thing, but yeah, just their passion and everything is great. But on the corporate level, I do not like corporate PlayStation, and just because of the decisions they make, like this one. And so I hope that we get this. But this was a big rant. I'm actually doing pretty good on time. But last big news, something I am personally very, very excited about, because this is about one of my favorite games from 2019, and that is that Pokemon Sword and Shield are getting expansions this year. I'm very excited, because I think this is the best possible thing that Pokemon could have done. Like, sorry, I'm trying to collect my thoughts here. My friends had pretty lukewarm reactions to it, and I didn't see any like overwhelming hype about these expansions. But I mean, it was such a perfect thing to do. Like, you have instead of doing just a third game, which is essentially, you have pretty much the same thing. You have a very similar story, very similar, all the same Pokemon, just with like a new legendary, all that. It's kind of a cash grab. Whereas with these expansions, we're getting new areas, 200 new Pokemon. There's 2 of them, like, they're spread out, so it's like, you're kind of keeping busy, because I'm still playing Pokemon. Like, I'm still exploring the wild area, building teams, doing that sort of thing, filling out my Pokédex. And so I know before I am finished with Pokemon, the first expansion will come out. Like, I won't be done with Pokemon before the first expansion comes out. Like, I won't be finished with it, ready to put it down. And so it just further increases the longevity of Sword and Shield. And, it's only $30 instead of having to shell out another $60 for a third game. And so it's fantastic, because it appeases people who want the entire Pokédex. Even though I know this isn't all of them, but, it helps. You're getting all the legendaries back, which is... We're also still getting new Pokemon, too, which is awesome, in different forms and everything, which is really cool. But I'm very excited. More story, because the story was really good in Sword and Shield. Again, like I said, brand new areas, which I'm excited about, instead of just, just having them take place in areas we already know about, Galar, or the Galar region. Yeah. I'm very excited, and I think it's April and November. Actually, I can literally double check. I'm dumb. But the 2 expansions are the Isle of Armor expansion and then the Crown Tundra. So, okay, I guess they don't have an exact date, unless this source is wrong. But the Isle of Armor will be available by the end of June, while the Crown Tundra will arrive in fall. So, yeah. So you can pre-purchase the pass now. I probably will hold off on it, just because... Yeah, I'm saving up for E3. I've got other things I need to do with my money, but I'll definitely get it in time for the first one to release. But yeah, I'm super excited, because I love Pokemon. Like I said, I was playing it two days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago I last played. I don't play it quite as much as I used to, because I just have a lot of games that I want to play right now. But I do still play it fairly regularly. And now that I'm back in college, I'll honestly probably play it more, because now I'm with my other friends who play Pokemon, and so a lot of times we'll play together, which is a lot of fun. But that wraps up the gaming news. Now to get into the main topic. And so again, there was kind of a struggle. I was trying to figure out what I should really talk about. When we really get into the nitty-gritty of the year, we might have a little more relevant things, but I think this is still pretty relevant. And so what I want to talk about, as for our main meat of this episode, is the state of gaming in 2020. And what I mean by that is where each like company is at, like where they're set up for this year, what we should expect from them. And I know I'm trying not to make this too similar to episode 1 and what to expect from 2020, but just sort of like how I personally see each company, where they're at right now, and kind of like almost give them like a rating, you know what I mean? And so yeah, so we're gonna start off with the king right now, unfortunately, in my opinion, but PlayStation. And so we're going to talk about that. Obviously, the big thing this year for them is PlayStation 5, and so there's this big thing. I mean, they just announced they're not going to be at E3 2020, so they're going to have some sort of announcement event. A lot of people think it's going to be in February when they, come out, reveal the PlayStation 5. It'll probably come out in November. I just started putting back money for the new consoles. I should have done it earlier, but again, I'm not good with money, and so I just started putting back money into like a savings account so that I could not spend it. But yeah, so yeah, PlayStation 5 is coming, and with that, who knows? I just saw an article, or not an article, it was a tweet, but it was someone in games media who says he has sources that tell him that the 9 teraflops that Digital Foundry reported was actually false, and that it actually is doing better. It's clocking in better than the Xbox Series X, and there are apparently some issues with the Series X in terms of, I think it might be overheating. I don't remember what he said, but again, this was just a tweet, and I haven't seen any other news sites cover it, so we'll see about how legitimate that is, but that's very interesting, especially since Digital Foundry doesn't really mess around with that sort of stuff, so to see that it was pretty blatantly wrong will be interesting. We'll see what happens. I do think it's interesting that PlayStation has been so quiet about the PS5. Yeah, that's a little troubling as an Xbox fan. It's a little troubling to hear about. But I mean, I shouldn't be troubled, because I would like them to be pretty similar, because then the PlayStation exclusives will be really, really good. Both, I don't expect them to be bad games anyway, but like they'll also look really, really good. And so hopefully we can get that. Hopefully we can get true 8K on both consoles. That'd be awesome. Not for my wallet, but but also, we've got big games coming this year, and so really cool things like The Last of Us Part 2, obviously. It's one of my most anticipated games. I was going to say something, but I never mind. Anyway, so it's nothing bad. It was just I have a surprise planned for somebody, but in case they're listening, I don't want to say it and then they find out about it this way, because that would be a terrible way. A surprise involving The Last of Us. But I'm very excited for The Last of Us. I mean, it's one of the best games ever made, and so Part 2, very exciting. One of the things I'm super pumped about is just the enemy AI is so smart. Like, they're not the stupid AI that everybody always makes fun of in video games. This is not that. At least that's what they're claiming. Neil Druckmann, I mean, he works so hard. Naughty Dog is such a fantastic studio. I mean, when's the last time they came out with a bad game? I mean, I don't know. So it's like, I'm very excited about that. Ghost of Tsushima. Personally, I'm not super excited about it. Like, I don't know. I think in a world post Sekiro, it's just so similar. Like, I know it won't play the exact same, but it just looks so similar. And like, I love the Infamous franchise. Like, I would have loved to have an Infamous 4. And it's like Ghost of Tsushima, like, yeah, it's a beautiful game. Yeah, I'm sure the gameplay will be fun, but there's just nothing that I've seen has made me like exceptionally hyped for this game. And I was hyped, but then Sekiro came out, and so I was like, okay, well, what does this do that's any different? And so far they haven't really shown us that. They haven't differentiated themselves from Sekiro. And so I'm very surprised to see all these people very hyped about it, like people prominent in the games media industry, because it's like, you guys just got Sekiro. All you guys loved it. And it's like, so why are you not a little hesitant about this? I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, but I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game. I just yeah, I need that differentiation, and I'm just not really seeing it there. So I don't know. That's just me. But otherwise, I mean, the other big game is, because I want to stick with games in terms of all of these where I talk about games. I'm only going to talk about games that are confirmed for this year. So there are a lot of games that could very well come out this year, but we don't know. And then obviously some of these could just be delayed out of 2020, so I might be wrong anyway, but I'm trying. And so the last one being Godfall. It's confirmed for holiday 2020. It's going to be probably the big PS5 launch title, coming to PS4 and PC, but you know, it's essentially a PlayStation exclusive. And yeah, I'm excited about that. I like the aspect of it. I think it looks beautiful. I need to see more before I really, you know, throw my money down, but yeah, it's interesting. And I mean, we'll see. We'll see what PlayStation does. I think they've got a lot of third-party support. They've got the momentum. I mean, they've got PlayStation fans up the wazoo. I think that PlayStation stands to have the best year. I think PlayStation is probably, as much as I love Xbox, I think PlayStation is the safest bet in terms of like who wins 2020, who does the best this year out of, you know, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, all them. Yeah, I think PlayStation stands to do the best just because they have this massive audience that are excited for this new console. They have 2 games that people are insanely excited about, and probably other stuff up their sleeve. The Last of Us Part 2 could easily take it. I mean, they have Final Fantasy VII as well this year. I mean, so they've got big games that are theirs. They are coveting right now. So Xbox is better than it has been, but a lot of their exclusive games are AA or smaller. And while smaller games can be just fine, I mean, look at Celeste. It's not the same as like a big AAA game or multiple big AAA games, which is what PlayStation has, but Xbox not really. But moving on to Xbox, I mean, it's just as big a year for them because they're coming out with the Xbox Series X, the Series S, the Series A is what I'm gonna call it, because I mean, if it's not, okay, but I have a good feeling about it. And so, but then besides Halo Infinite, we really don't know. I personally, people are thinking that Hellblade 2 is gonna come out this year. I don't think so. If they weren't working on Bleeding Edge, I would say okay. But I mean, yes, it's probably been in development for a little bit because I'm sure they had part of the team working on Bleeding Edge and then another part working on this. But I just don't think it's going to be ready for this year. I think next year, sure. But especially because they have Bleeding Edge, I don't think Hellblade's going to come out this year. And so would I love to? Yeah, for sure. But I just don't see that being a thing. And people are so confident that it's coming out this year. It's like, I don't know. I've also, never mind. I can't say anything. But Bleeding Edge, we'll see how that works out. I was about to say something, but I can't talk about it like legally because I've participated in different gaming events that require me to not talk about things. But Bleeding Edge sounds really cool, but you know, no one's really super interested in it. If Bleeding Edge finds success, it'll be sort of like the underdog type of thing where it's just a pleasant surprise. We'll see. They're doing a closed beta next month, and if you have Game Pass, you can automatically get in there. So I'll probably jump in, play some, see how it is. But you know, it'll be we'll see. I think if anything, it could be like Overwatch, just on a smaller scale in terms of like how it does. Like, I know that Overwatch, like, people were still hyped for Overwatch because it was Blizzard, but you know what I mean, like that sort of thing. But other than that, I mean, yeah, their big one's Halo Infinite, and I've talked at length about it before that I am just super excited. I hope they go open world. I hope it's a big thing. With the news this week that Xbox is not going to have any Series X exclusives for at least a year. People were like, "Oh, well, the games aren't going to be good because they're going to be bad. They're not going to be anything. They're going to look like crap." Blah, 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 blah. There have been game developers that have come up since then and have said, when we make a game for multiple systems, we make it at the absolute best and then we scale down to match whatever. Now, of course, you are limited in terms of like features. So say that they wanted to make Halo Infinite open world. They make it like open galaxy, you know what I mean? Just this, my god, like No Man's Sky type of thing, but it's not procedurally generated. I mean, I know you can't, that's not possible, but like, you know, there are just hardware limits, like the process, like CPU wise, that you can't do. So there is that. So that's a potential thing, but I don't think anybody's that ambitious quite yet, especially because they are so new at the hardware. They haven't had the time to kind of push it to its limits. And so I think the big thing with Halo, or well, yeah, Halo, but like Xbox exclusives in like the first year of Series X, it's not necessarily going to be groundbreaking in terms of big new features, although there will be. And I think the One X will help that, as you know, being that intermediate that can take advantage of those features. It'll really be graphically, there won't be anything super new processor heavy wise, I don't think. It'll be pushing that GPU, because that's stuff you can scale. You know, you can down the textures, you can down all that, but you know, CPU wise, they have to make this thing run on the original Xbox. And it'll be interesting to see if maybe then that they just tank it, like Halo Infinite runs at 720 on the original Xbox. You know what I mean? Just like so that they can have all those features available. We'll see. I mean, I don't think they would do that, but I don't think it's going to be a huge issue in terms of us missing out because they want it to be compatible with the Xbox One as well. But you see a lot of games do that. However, they're on both sides. I mean, last generation, you saw games that were just for the Xbox One or just for the PS4, and we're not getting that now. But again, like I said, you have all these One X's and One S's that can run things better. That, you know, there probably aren't too many people with an original Xbox anymore at this point. And so, you know, I don't think it'll be a huge issue. So yeah, Xbox, I mean, I really should have wrapped up a little bit with PlayStation. I mean, I kind of did. With Xbox, I mean, I guess I also should talk about Ori and the Will of the Wisps is the other big game that they have. And they do have other stuff, but again, it's kind of smaller, like Wasteland 3, Minecraft Dungeons. But again, they're smaller games. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is kind of like, it's not a AAA game, but it's as close as you can get probably to being a AAA game without actually being a AAA game, because Ori and the Blind Forest was such a massive success that, you know, people are insanely excited for Will of the Wisps, including myself. I pre-ordered the collector's edition, so I mean, I'm excited, even though I'm going to get it for free with Game Pass, but, you know, that's fine. Yeah, people are excited about Ori, and they should be. And with that, you know, I think for Xbox to win 2020, to do better than PlayStation, I just think that they need to kill this launch. And I think they have every opportunity to. I just hope that they've been holding out on us. I hope that this quadruple A studio from Santa Monica has a game that's ready. I'm not going to be surprised if they don't, but that would be the nail in the coffin. They have this huge game that is for Xbox's launch, and it's fantastic. And that'd be, you know, that'd be awesome. We'll see. But I just want to have some cool games to play with these new consoles. And so I hope both of them deliver. I don't think Godfall is going to be the only thing on PlayStation, and I don't think Halo Infinite is going to be the only thing on Xbox. I mean, it's a pretty sure bet about Forza, but also Fable 4 launch title. That would be insane. So I do hope that PlayStation and Xbox have been keeping some stuff close to them, and we're in for big surprises. I think it's totally possible. I hope that I'm right, because, yeah, like I said, I want to have some good stuff to play on these consoles when I first get them. I don't want to have to play my PS4 or my Xbox One games. I want to play new stuff because it's going to be dope. But moving on to Nintendo. Nintendo's kind of the guy that's out there. They, you know, they aren't participating in this console war, but they could have new hardware on the way with the stuff with the Switch Pro. I've talked about it before, so I won't get super into it, but that could be a big thing for them. Actually, I did want to say one thing, because I was listening to IGN's Nintendo podcast, NVC, and I think it was Pear brought up a smart point about, I don't know if it was Pear, it might have been just the group, that it almost, like, Nintendo almost needs to come out with a 4K console, because now that we have these potential 8K consoles, the gap between the new games for consoles just grows exponentially. We have these consoles that can run 8K, and so you have third-party games like Cyberpunk and these other things that are going to be coming in 8K. Like Cyberpunk, we don't know that, but that was just an example, the first thing I thought of. But these third-party games coming in 8K, there's no way they come to Switch at 1080p. And so when you boost the Switch up to the 4K, it allows for more third-party support, and that's something I didn't think of. And so I've kind of switched what I think, that was unintentional, what I think that the Switch Pro is going to be. I kind of do believe now that it will be 4K, which $400 ain't bad for a 4K. I think it's pretty plausible to have $400 4K portable console, because again, I don't think the PS5 is going to go too much high. I think PS5 will be $500. And so to see Switch $400, you get 4K on the go. That's insane. 1080p screen, like 1080p LCD screen, or actually OLED screen would be even better, for on the go, and then 4K docked. That'd be so cool. So, Switch Pro could be a thing coming this summer, potentially. But as far as other games go, I'm going to double check, because I like, not 100% sure. Okay, it is New Horizons. I wanted to make sure before I said it, and I acted like an idiot. Animal Crossing New Horizons is kind of the only big Nintendo game we know of that's coming this year. There are a bunch of Nintendo games coming in the future that we just don't know about. It could be this year, could be further on. But Animal Crossing New Horizons comes out this March. Otherwise, Nintendo doesn't have much right now that we know of anyway. They're getting Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which I'm personally super excited about, because I never got the chance to play it. So, being able to play it on the Switch is super cool. I like that idea. I'm very excited to be able to do that soon, hopefully. I think that's going to be... May has always been filtering in my head. That's just when I think it's going to come out. I don't know. Like, ever since it first... Well, when it first got announced, I was thinking January, and then that didn't happen. And so since then, I've just been thinking May. I don't know. It's just what's been in my head. So, if it is May 2020, then that means I can predict the future. But that's exciting. And then the Pokemon expansions. Like, yeah, there's other stuff I'm sure I'm forgetting about, but nothing's really confirmed for 2020. So when I came up with like the things I wanted to talk about, I did it all off the top of my head, because I'm like, if I can't come up with it off the top of my head, it's probably not that important to me, so I shouldn't be talking about it anyway. But yeah, Nintendo's, not that they're necessarily set up to have a bad year. It's just, as of now, we don't have much information to go off of. And so if they don't have anything behind their sleeves, like if it is just going to be a bare 2020, like... Again, they don't really compete with Xbox and PlayStation, but the whole Switch kind of being outdated compared to these 8K consoles, that is interesting, and that could be something that they might be afraid of, and for good reason. And so it'll be interesting to see what Nintendo does this year, because that is a really, really good point. But moving on to somebody that... I hate to say it, but is probably in for a pretty rough year, and that's Google Stadia. That's right, the fourth console that's not a console, but I'm going to talk about it because I'm going to support until the day I die, even though I'm very upset with them a lot. And so, yeah, Stadia did not go well this year. It was a terrible launch. I will admit that. First thing, I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. That was a terrible launch that was handled poorly. I think that honestly kind of cowards for not speaking, and they still haven't remedied that. I think the biggest problem with Google Stadia right now is that the team does not communicate with the people whatsoever. I love the community updates that they were doing, which it's been almost a month now since the last community update. I understand that they left for holidays, but they should be back by now. We should get some information. There's nothing on sale on the store right now. It's been radio silence since December 26th. It's been radio silence. And so it's like, where are they at? If things were going well, that would be okay. Like, okay, whatever. Like, I would like communication, but whatever. But things are not going well. Like, everything has went wrong with Stadia, almost. And so they need to keep that constant communication. They need to constantly be telling us what the heck they're doing. Because if they're not, then people just think they're not doing anything. And you're making your consumers mad that purchase this and just don't have access to a whole lot. The features are not coming in very fast. When they said, though, we have this roadmap and we've planned out, we've also left in some space to fix things that you guys want us to fix. And it's just, it's progressing very, very slowly. All these games that they have just aren't ready to come out. We had the launch title, I think it was 23 titles. I'm correct. Again, I didn't research that. That's just off of memory. So I may be wrong. And then Darksiders Genesis launched on December 5th. It is currently the only Stadia game to have launched day and date. The rest are all just back. And then later in December, we got Ghost Recon Breakpoint and Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 added. I did purchase Ghost Recon while it was on sale, and I just started playing it last night. It is one of the better Stadia titles. It runs at 4K 30 FPS, which is really nice. But also Ubisoft has a really good partnership with Stadia. And also, I'm one of the people that really do like Ghost Recon. I played the beta and I loved it, and I played it on Stadia, right? Like, I'm playing it on Stadia right now, and I'm also loving it. And so I am not a Ghost Recon hater. As someone who didn't like Wildlands, I'm enjoying a lot of Breakpoint. And so, you know, I'm on the opposite with most Ghost Recon people, but I also love RPGs, and so that's essentially what they turned Ghost Recon into. So that's why I'm biased like that. But we don't know what the heck's going to go on in 2020. Doom Eternal's the first game that, well, I guess Cyberpunk technically got confirmed for 2020 because they said it would release sometime this year on Stadia, kind of is what they said. So we kind of know Cyberpunk. We kind of know Marvel's Avengers. We kind of know, well, we know Doom Eternal is coming March 22nd or March 20th, right? Right. And presumably Doom will come before that. I saw somebody say that they should make Doom the like, when they should release Doom first and then make it a Stadia Pro game for the month to get people hyped for Doom Eternal. I think it's a great idea. But yeah, make it the free Steam or Stadia Pro game of the month, or like one of the two, because it looks like they're doing 2 a month now, which I think they need to, but they're also running out of games. So I own half the Switch library, or the Stadia library right now. I keep wanting to say Switch. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But yeah, they're really hurting on games right now, and they're really hurting on consumer support, because you got a lot of angry fans, and everyone thinks Stadia is a joke. And the fact that they have not made like any big official statement. I've not heard anything from John Justice. I've not heard anything from Phil Harrison. It's been the Stadia support team that has been talking to us, not the big shots. They've been who knows where. And I say this with love because I am obsessed with Stadia, and I think they can come back from this. And that's why I'm so upset with them right now, because they're making all the wrong decisions. Like, that's not me trying to act like I'm an expert on how to run a business. That's me saying even I know that this is a train wreck and that they could have done so much better. Like, yeah, it's the fact that I'm not an expert and I am confident in that this was 100% avoidable. They could have been transparent with us about, hey, Stadia can run games up to 4K 60 FPS. However, this is up to the developers to do that. Hey, when porting things over to Stadia, it is from the ground up. It is like making a PlayStation port of a PC game or vice versa, anything like that. It has to be made from the ground up. And so if things don't run well, it's because the developers didn't optimize it to the best for Stadia. We provide the hardware, but they provide the software. And so we are not involved in that process. And so not all games are going to run at 4K, even though they can. If they don't, that's up to developers. All these things could have been said beforehand, but they weren't. And they should have known that we would have been upset. They did. They just frankly, I don't know what they were hoping for out of this. And then the key fiasco, people not getting their codes right at launch, was ridiculous. They obviously knew that they were going to send the codes out in waves beforehand. This was not a last minute decision. And even if it was a last minute decision, it would have been probably within like the 24-hour range, not like minutes beforehand. Like they would have had time to tell us, but it was another thing. I think they knew we were going to be upset, and so it was better just to not say anything. That's not better. It's never better to do that. Never, ever, ever. Like, it's ridiculous. The way that Stadia has handled communication with the fans and being transparent, it's non-existent. And it needs to change if they're to survive into it. People don't realize that Steam took years to get off the ground. And so people are like, Stadia's dead. There's no way Stadia does anything. I think they can easily come back from this. I think it's definitely in the cards. Because, yeah, like I said, it took years. Because Steam was the pioneer of digital games, essentially. They were pretty much the first person to do that. And it was just Valve games, and then they expanded, and now look at Steam now. They were pioneers. I think Stadia is just like that. And I don't think it's something that's going to happen immediately, just like with Steam. But look at where Steam is now. I think Stadia can reach those same heights, because this is like, I doubt Pandora was the first streaming service for music, but like whatever the first streaming service for music was, you know, this is new. This is a brand new thing, and this is the big one. And so, in a way, it is like Pandora, but hopefully it stays. Like Pandora has just been trying its best to keep on this whole time, but it's not really. Maybe Stadia's like Spotify, because there have been other people that have done cloud streaming, but this is the first one to really just go all in and be as marketed as this big huge thing, as, you know, this is real cloud streaming. And then it's also got competition with xCloud, and that will help both of them do better because they have to compete. And so yeah, I think Stadia can succeed, but they're just making all the wrong decisions right now. And so I think this is going to be a really rough year for them. They're supposed to launch Stadia Base. They got to get on it. Next month is when our 3-month trial runs out, like for Stadia Pro. And so then they've got to start like letting us pay monthly and letting people get Stadia Base, unless they just extend our thing, be like, here's another 3 months to give them more time, which I wouldn't put it past them, especially since they gave out another free buddy pass. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. They extended us, gave us another month, or, you know, another 3 months. But yeah, time's running out for them. They need to come back with something. And it scares me that they're not talking, because it sounds like they don't have anything, and that's why they're not talking, is because they are just stumped right now. And like I said, I'm a massive Stadia fan, and so that makes me really sad. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff wrong with Stadia. As big of a fan as I am, I will defend Stadia, but I will not just blatantly not look at facts, because there are some facts going on here. That Stadia's had an absolutely abysmal launch. I mean, that's not a fact. That is opinion. But I mean, it's pretty. I mean, it's almost borderline fact. And so I hope they pick things up. I really, really hope they do. But we're running out of time. I think we just got a few more minutes left. So I'm going to quickly go over the PC and third party. I kind of lumped it all into one, just everything else. 2020 is going to be a big year for VR. Half-Life Alyx is coming out. And you look at Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2, they were pioneers for video games when they came out. And so Half-Life Alyx very well could be the game that launches VR into the mainstream, because they have struggled. PlayStation VR is the biggest thing that's really helped get VR into homes, but even then, it's like whenever Sony at CES, when they announced their thing, it's like, well, I think it was like 5 million out of 160. I could be completely off base there, but pretty good numbers compared to like the HTC or whatever, but it's still, very few people own VR. But the Valve Index, I just saw an article, the Valve Index sold out. It's done. Like, yeah, there's, or not, I shouldn't say it's done, but yeah, it's currently sold out. You can't get a Valve Index because so many people are buying the VR headsets for Half-Life Alyx. Because right now, if you buy a Valve Index, well, went back when they were in stock, it came with Half-Life Alyx, and so you get it as soon as it comes out. If I had the PC to run it, I would also buy a Valve Index for Half-Life Alyx. I just can't, and so I'm like, God, because it's going to be good, and so I'm just trying to figure out a way for me to play this game. And so it's like, because I don't have money to get this PC built right now, but I need to. But I also want the consoles and E3. It's just, you know how it is. You know how it is. But I also want to, get some games through the year so that I have stuff to talk about on this podcast. So I'm just very all over the place with money right now, and I also need to put back money for life. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, you also got Cyberpunk 2077, Marvel's Avengers, Doom Eternal, all these big games, all these fun times. I think all of them are going to be good. I think the biggest risk is Marvel's Avengers, but I trust in Crystal Dynamics that they can do this. And I also love superheroes. So, getting into the games that I am currently playing, there's a lot that I've played in this past week because I've been hanging out with people. I'm getting back into college, and so there are games that I specifically play with the free time I have in college. And so I got back into Destiny 2 on Stadia with my buddy, and so we were playing through the game together. So we beat the original campaign back when Stadia launched. We just blasted through the main campaign, and then we both been super busy, but we finally got back. We played through Temple of Osiris and Warmind, and for me, I've played through Destiny 2 twice, and so this now was my third time, but I'd only played the House of Osiris, or Temple of Osiris once, with my girlfriend, and then after that point, that's as far as I'd went, and so it was my first time playing Warmind. It was pretty good, and then we just started Forsaken, and that's really, really fun. However, the free-to-play model with Destiny, I don't necessarily hate it. It kind of breaks it, especially in Forsaken, because there's that point in the quest where you have to do the bounties for Spider. And so since they switched to the free-to-play structure, it really kind of breaks the game a little bit. It's still a good game. It's just not as good as when it wasn't free-to-play. So yeah, it makes me a little upset. But I'm enjoying Forsaken a lot. I love the new race. I love all that stuff. I'm excited to continue playing that. I'm supposed to play it with him this weekend again. But yeah, we're both very busy. Our schedules don't align very well, but we're trying to get through Destiny and then start playing Ghost Recon together. But like I said, I did start playing it on my own because I really wanted it, and I bought it a week or two ago, so I just really wanted to get into it. So with the free time, a little bit of free time I had now that I'm back in college, I started playing Ghost Recon on Stadia. Again, didn't get super far because my internet was not doing well, which was surprising because it was on Butler's secure server, but I guess a lot of people were on it. It was at nighttime, so I decided just to kind of call it. But I've played through the part I played through before because the beta lets you do the first few missions. So I have enough patience nowadays that it doesn't bug me that much if I'm like, okay, I can't play this right now. But it bugs me a little bit. I've also been playing some Dragon's Dogma again for Panamaster Rewind. The giveaway just ended for me giving away a copy of the game, and literally no one entered, so that's nice. But I'm not gonna extend it. No one wants the game, so I'm not gonna worry about it. But I'm getting a little bit it's not that I don't like the game. It's I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. I think I need to look up some tips or something because I'm just having a rough time in that game. But Again, like I said earlier, I got into some Smash right before this podcast because I wanted to try out Terry before this new one comes out. I kind of want to play him a little bit more because I want to beat a level 9 with him. I've beaten level 8s, but I've only played against the level 9 once because, like I said, it was right before this and I had to get going. But I think, because I do 3 stock, and I think it was I know I took down one of his stocks. He was either on 1 or 2 stocks left. He didn't 3 stock me, but yeah, I work on that. I want to try it. I might do that tonight. We'll see. I got work to do still, so I might not, but I would like to. Maybe in the morning. Nah, I'm not gonna be able to get up in the morning. But yeah, like I said, also I played a little bit of Pokemon Sword and Shield with my buddy. Getting back into that. I just started, and I'm 99% sure I can talk about this because the developer said we could do previews on it, but I am reviewing the Coma 2 Vicious Sisters for my internship at Gaming Cypher. And so that is a game that's been in early access on Steam for a while, but it's having a full release at the end of the month. So I just started playing that now. Review it. I didn't get to play a whole lot. I think I'm gonna blast through it this weekend because I'm going back home for the weekend and I don't have very solid plans, and I think a lot of people are busy, and so I think I'm just gonna that'll be a lot of what I do over the weekend. But I also really want to read the Witcher book, and I also have this essay that I want to work on. But yeah, I think the bulk of it's gonna be this weekend because I don't have a whole lot of time. Maybe tomorrow I might be able to get some more into it. But I haven't played a lot of it, so I don't really have any firm opinions right now. But embargo is not up on it yet, so I can't say anything about the game. But like I said, we can do previews and stuff. That I can't give any full opinions right now until I think like the 23rd or the 24th, I think. Also got back into Overwatch. I love Overwatch a little too much. And so I've been playing some Overwatch, been playing some Diablo 3 and World of Warcraft. I just got into those games right before finals. Then I abandoned them over break. Now I'm trying to get back into them too. I just got the free stuff for now. I don't pay the monthly, but I eventually will because I hate Blizzard as a company, but they make some good games. And so, you know, Hong Kong, let's go. But yeah, that is going to be it. Again, we're running over on time. I hope they don't get mad at me for being out here past, but I hope they understand that it wasn't really my fault. But yeah, no one reserved this anyway. No one can even get in because they locked the doors, so for no reason. But I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I have a lot of fun doing this. I'm very excited that, you know, I have a space to do this and I don't have to have people constantly walking by looking at me funny. And because, you know, this is like in the basement of a building, of like the communications building, and it's like a very slim window there, so someone could, but not that many people are walking through this area. But yeah, I'm excited about that because that's one thing not that I'm embarrassed, it's just awkward, you know. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I will be back next week, hopefully, because I have not had any problems with Spotify delaying stuff. I'm gonna start uploading this as soon as I finish, and it might honestly be up on technically a Wednesday. We'll see how long it takes, but Spotify supposedly updates daily, so that's why I'm like, it's not constantly. So we'll see if it does upload, then, because I do want them to go up on Thursdays, then I'll just wait until I get up the next morning and upload it. That's how it'll be like from like next week on, so that it does go up on Thursdays, because they won't be up on Wednesdays, just in case I have to make a podcast super late one night and it doesn't get up until the next Thursday. So I still want it to be Thursdays, but we'll see how long this takes, because now I do have a little bit of time left in my Wednesday night that I can get it uploaded and see if it actually publishes technically on a Wednesday. But the goal is to get it on Thursdays. Again, I'm still figuring this stuff out. Let me know if there's anything you want to see changed video-wise, audio-wise, anything like that. Please let me know, good and bad, all of your feedback. Go over to the YouTube comments if you are on Spotify, or if you are watching on YouTube, let me know, what do you think 2020 holds for Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, Stadia, anything. Just let me know your thoughts. How do you think 2020 is shaping up to be in terms of all of this stuff? There's a whole lot of speculation going on. Let me know down in the comments below, and I can talk about it on the next podcast. But this has been Game Patrol. I'm your host, Landon Plumley. I don't think I even said that at the beginning, but whatever. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. I will see you guys next week, and bye-bye.